Trump Jr. accused Nadler of encouraging violence against law enforcement. Supporters argue he was highlighting concerns over accountability and civil liberties. The controversy underscores rising tensions over immigration enforcement, public safety, and political rhetoric in Washington. Melinda Gates says it's not up to her to answer questions about her ex-husband Bill Gates' relationship with the late sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein. Monica Nelson reports.
The Microsoft billionaire was named in the Epstein files released by the Justice Department multiple times. Melinda Gates spoke about her ex on an upcoming episode of an NPR podcast. She said the questions are for the people involved and for her ex-husband to answer, and that she's just glad to be away from the, quote, muck of it all. Melinda Gates said she was sad to think about what Epstein's victims went through and that it brought back some very painful times in her marriage. The couple divorced in 2021 after 27 years of marriage.
Mayor Brandon Johnson is doubling down on his recent executive order designed to hold immigration enforcement agents accountable for misconduct in Chicago. Perry Williams has more.
The mayor says he's not trying to tell Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke how to handle investigations.
Like any other case, the state's attorney has their jurisdiction to decide if they're going to move forward with prosecution. But that's the autonomy that the state's attorney has.
O'Neill Burke says she's reviewing the legality of the executive order. She adds that she wasn't notified about the order until it was released, despite claims from Johnson that he was working with her office.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Dependable Lock Service is your source for replacement car keys, custom safes from Liberty Safe, and so many more lock and key services. With over 30 years of experience in lock and key industry, there's nothing Dependable Lock Service can't do for you. Whether you're looking for duplicate automotive chip keys, rekeying commercial and residential locks, or custom safe building, we've got you covered. Call 603-886-0559. Nashua's dependable lock services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning. I'm Ed Mullen from Nashua Aerial Advertising. There's no better way to advertise your business and or message than high in the sky. How can you make your advertising budget work for you? By putting your ads up where they'll stand out. The Sky is an uncluttered, impressive venue. You can put your message over a region or location to target your desired demographic. Put your ads where they're needed. We provide coverage over communities through Merrimack Valley, Greater Nashua, Manchester, Lowell, and points throughout South Central New Hampshire and North Central Mass. Summertime beaches, sporting events, races, fairs, and festivals are all ready-made for banner telling. For more information, please visit us online at NashuaAerialAdvertising.com. And remember, the sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning.
Most social platforms throttle your reach, track your behavior, and decide what you're allowed to see. Audax does none of that. Here, you control the algorithm. Your posts go where you send them, without shadow bans, filters, or hidden limits. Audax doesn't spy on your private life. No one listens to your calls. No one monitors your searches. And because we don't take money from corporate advertisers, no one is manipulating what you see or how you use the platform. Audax is built for patriots who want a place to organize, speak freely, and push back against the issues facing America without interference. Freedom isn't free, but it's worth every penny. Join the Rise for Liberty project at audax1.com and take back your voice.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated. rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to truckersunitedforfreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong, Mammoth Nation.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Grosvenor.
All right. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. Also available online at wsmn.live, and we're available on a number of other podcasts and streaming platforms. Too many to listen or list right here today, but I'm joined by my co-host, Colonel Chris Wyatt in Central PA, and of course, John Grosvenor holding down the studio in Nashua. John, how are you today?
Doing well up here in Nashua, New Hampshire there, Todd. Things are starting to heat up here, with, I think Trump's looking to come into Nashua, or New Hampshire rather, for ICE and stuff. We got people protesting out there at the federal buildings, and I see Goodlander and Hassan are both beating the streets for it. They're out there trying to talk it all up and everything. So I guess they're getting it started. So we'll see how things develop with that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Colonel, how are you up there in Central PA?
Well, life is fine. It's going better for me than it is for the Iranians. Life going to get rough for them soon.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to start with that. Yeah, Newsmax has at the top of their banner here, Trump warns Iran's supreme leader ought to be very worried. So what is your take and your thoughts on Iran? Where does this go for the Ayatollah and the leadership there in Iran? I'll use leadership in air quotes there.
Well, I think that Iran is going to find themselves in a very deep world of hurt. Trump has been very restrained so far. He's been very restrained about a number of issues, a number of countries, although he's constantly told that he's, being very aggressive. But now he's been very restrained. But we have a carrier strike group off the coast, and we had a drone harassing a ship, many drones, and they took it out. So,
right.
So much for that. The Phalanx is quite a close-in defense system.
Oh, yeah, it is hard to beat for sure. I mean, you're thinking 21st century advanced technology against, your Walmart commercial off the shelf drone that you're flying at it. Sorry.
Were they flying kids drones? Little things fresh out the box, 2 feet by 2 feet.
No, they've got some bigger drones, but no, the Iranians are as usual being aggressive. And they're going to regret that. But I guess they don't want to live up to reality. But the reality is here, they're going to regret their actions. And so we'll see what happens.
What is Trump's strategy over there, Chris? I see he's over there talking, and they're talking about nuclear options. And so I'm kind of confused because I'm thinking, if anything, Trump would want this regime to collapse. But he's over there.
Well, they're going to meet U.S. and Iranian officials in Oman on Friday. So they're going to talk about what's going on. We don't have an official diplomatic mission there. So that's part of the issue here is we haven't had a diplomatic mission with Iran since 1979. And normally we negotiate our affairs with the Swiss office that represents, they play a role for us. But yeah, what is his goal? The denuclearization of Iran's nuclear weapons program. Simple as that. But the
Right.
Iranians, maybe he's concerned about the welfare of Iranians, but maybe he isn't. I don't know. But the bottom line for certain is that we cannot allow the Iranians, these are lunatics, it's a theocracy, to have weapons of mass destruction. And there's no denying that they're trying to make them. They make no qualms about it. They say they have a right to nuclear weapons and they will develop them. The problem is that they'll launch them. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Without hesitation, right towards Israel.
Yeah,
So as
it's
far as
funny,
diplomacy goes, I can't understand why we don't have any diplomacy over there. I mean, the last time we did in 1979, they took off our diplomats and locked them up and beat the crap out of them for 14 months.
Well, yeah, they had them what 333 days or something like that.
I think
was
it's
a total.
400 something. Yeah, it was about 14 months.
444. Yeah, it was a long time.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, well, so I served in Tunisia with two of the last people from that mission to get out. He wound up being our deputy chief of mission in Tunisia. This is back in 2000 when I went there, and he and his wife were the last ones to get out. They went to the Canadian embassy. They're part of that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were part of that movie.
Argo. Yeah. Really good
Argo.
movie.
So
Argo.
yeah, so I actually knew two people who were in Tehran and managed to get out. Pretty frightening situation. They would tell us about what happened there. It was something else. It was really something else. Yeah, look, the Iranians are serious. They don't give a crap about what's right and wrong, what's moral. They just have a worldview that's so warped, and they're going to pursue it. Trump cannot allow that. I mean, the North Koreans have the same view. They're going to do what they want to do, and they don't care what the world says. And we've had president after president who's tolerated that, and arguably even Trump has tolerated. So I don't know what's going to happen with North Korea, but let's not lose sight of North Korea. They also now have exercise the ability to fire intercontinental ballistic missiles that can almost reach the United States West Coast now. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, they're getting out there now. I mean, they've been practicing for a lot of years. They were shooting them out towards Japan, basically violating international law while doing so. But they were getting some reach then, and now they're getting more sophisticated.
Well, those missile launches over the Sea of Japan, those are actually acts of war. Japan would have been within its rights to actually have attacked North Korea over that. They can't fire intercontinental ballistics missiles, cruise missiles over someone's surface area. That's just not acceptable.
Right. And the only reason that they didn't do anything during Trump's first term is because Trump basically asked him not to, essentially, from what I gather, right?
Well, he stroked Kim Jong-un's ego. That's the bottom line. Trump was clever. He realized what the deal was, and he realized that if he would just make Kim Jong-un feel like he's important on the world stage, it could make the difference. And it did. After Trump met with him a couple of times in Asia, they never fired any more missiles throughout the rest of Trump's presidency. But Trump leaves office within a couple of days, barely a week or so, North Korea is firing missiles once again over the airspace of Japan.
I like the internet memes on that when, there's Obama standing there with binoculars, and there's Biden standing there with binoculars, and there's Trump crossing the line to shake his hand. It's like, yeah, somebody's got some backbone here.
Well, we'll see what happens with Iran, but Iran is playing with fire, and they're going to get burned. They're going to get burned badly. And never mind the fact that they've just murdered thousands of their citizens who did nothing except stand up and protest.
Yeah, they don't take protest against their regime very lightly. I guess that's what you expect from Islamic State. I don't know. I mean,
how many are estimated to have been killed thus far in this recent round of protests and violence?
It's tough to say because you hear lots of different numbers bandied about, anywhere from 4,700 to 20 or 30,000 people were murdered. So I don't think we really even know, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah, it'd be something we find out well after the fact if the regime collapses or something like that, or because if they stay in power, you're never going to get the truth on that.
No, you're not going to get the truth. That's the bottom line. And we'll probably never actually know how many people actually were murdered in this situation. It's really horrific. And the world sits back and really doesn't say or do much about it, just kind of looks the other way. It's been going on for a long time. I think most people are kind of over the Ukraine conflict, but people are still dying every single day. Yeah. So what do you say about this?
I was thinking today, the people, because Maggie Goodlander put out a video about standing with Ukraine with a bunch of Ukrainian Americans, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, she put out the video, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, stand with Ukraine. You do realize they have an international legion, right? If you really stood with Ukraine, maybe you should have went and stood with Ukraine, right?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that they can give you a rifle and a Kevlar to jump in a foxhole with them.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was all big and gung-ho about I stand with Ukraine. Well, do you really? I mean, because they asked for fighters. They needed help. Where are you at?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of flags on social media, and I stand with Ukraine on social media, and it's like, where are you? Nowhere to be found.
I mean, words don't mean a whole lot. Action counts for everything.
No. Right, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like whenever it comes to running for public office, you hear people say, well, if God wants you in there, he'll put you in there. I'm like, no, I'm asking you to vote for me. You.
Man, what a way to say it. If God wants you
okay. I mean, if it's a no, it's a no. Just tell me to go on.
I think that was an indirect. God's not putting it on my heart, Todd.
Right. Yeah. But people have any number of excuses. It's like, just say no. Let's move on from it. But
Absolutely.
anyway, have you seen up in Adak? We're looking to reopen a World War II era Cold War base up in Adak, Alaska, because Russia and China has been maneuvering in the U.S. In the Arctic area, a little too close to home there. Have you seen that, Colonel?
No, but I'm not at all surprised by it. I mean, this is all in line with the effort by Trump to get control of Greenland. It's to secure the Arctic sea lanes and the approaches to it. It's a very serious situation. You know, we've neglected it for decades, and the Chinese and Russians are moving right on in there. And it's not hyperbole. It's actually what's happening. And it's frustrating to no end that people simply ignore this. I mean, you know, it's absolutely insane. You know, we had only one icebreaker. Now we have two, but Trump has budgeted and put billions in so that they can buy, I think, 15 icebreakers, something like that. Right. Imagine this, you know, with one icebreaker, how in the heck are we supposed to cover the Arctic approaches? You know, it's thousands of miles from Alaska over to Greenland, and there's open sea lanes in there in the summertime. And how are we going to patrol that with nuclear subs? I mean, you know, no Arctic icebreakers to show a deterrence of presence, you know, and the ice may be free and the lane may be free, but it isn't all the time. So you sort of need those icebreakers. But, you know, it's finally about time that we're getting icebreakers. I'm very encouraged by that, but they're not built overnight. We're actually doing that in conjunction with South Korea and with Finland, because Finland knows how to build these things. So the Finns are playing a role helping us out with that.
Good deal. Absolutely. Kristi Noem vows to go after a prolific leaker who disclosed information that put federal law enforcement officers at risk has been caught, apparently. Noem announced the revelation in a post on X. This is according to Fox News. And she said, I quote, I plan to refer this individual to the Justice Department for criminal prosecution, and Noem wrote. And she said, we are agnostic about your standing, tenure, political appointment or status as a career civil servant. We will track down leakers and prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, end quote. Yeah, somebody needs to go after leakers that, you know, put people's lives in harm's way or detrimental to ongoing operations, for sure. Without a doubt.
You know, part of the problem with this is that it's become sexy to be a whistleblower, but a whistleblower and someone who violates the law are two different things. A whistleblower takes a problem internal to an inspector general or a similar organization and reports fraud, waste, or abuse. But a person that steals information like Snowden is a criminal. And Snowden got dozens of intelligence agents executed in China and in Russia because of his stupidity. And he's hailed by idiots who don't understand how the world works. And they think that, you know, states aren't entitled to secrets. Of course, states are entitled to secrets.
Right.
I mean, give me a break. You know, absolutely ridiculous nonsense. But you know what? That's these somehow being someone who betrays your nation has become, you know, cool. And that's because there have been no consequences. Well, it's time for consequences.
None whatsoever. Yeah, John, what are your thoughts on that?
Actually, I was a little distracted because I don't have comments up here, and I was trying to figure out what's going on.
Gotcha. Here's another story. I saw off of Newsmax. Trump's taking steps to install Columbus statue near White House. This is going to blow some liberals' minds if he's successful in putting a Columbus statue up near the White House, I think.
Well, let it blow their minds. You know, it's interesting. The Latin Americans, who are a mix of Indo-American and Mesoamerican, as well as Spanish, especially for Mexicans, lots of Spanish involved there, and Venezuela. But some of the other countries further south, a lot less of the Spanish. But they're all, for the most part, have some responsibility for this. None of them are, you know, angry about Pizarro or Hernando de Soto murdering the Incan emperor, strangling him to death for no reason whatsoever, wiping out the Aztecs. They don't blame anyone else. They blame Columbus for that. Columbus had nothing to do with it. Columbus never got to those places. And being angry about Columbus is just insulting beyond belief. He was an Italian who was commissioned by the Spanish to find India. He didn't. He found the West Indies. And, you know, but they love to attack Columbus. Let's see. Get some Columbus statues up. I'll help go out and dedicate it. I'm fine with that. I got no issue with that.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Columbus, I think because we celebrate him so much here in the U.S., people just assume he found the new world, in 1492, which is not the case. There was many other European explorers, like the Colonel just said. So, but I think maybe because we celebrate him so much in this country that now he gets the ire of the left, I'm thinking.
I wonder if the left realizes Columbia, District of Columbia was in honor of that, right? They don't get this. It's a female variation of Columbus.
Right.
Well, they'd happily change that because they're just evil. They believe that wiping out history is the way to go. I had this conversation talking about, for instance, slavery, and I think we might have talked about it in this program before, but in my program, I went to public schools, and I was told that 50 million Africans were brought as slaves to America, and a huge number of them died en route over the Atlantic. And I didn't really think much about it growing up, but then as I came of age, as I was about to go to university, I started asking the question: 50 million Africans, but the slave trade only lasted in North America from 1619 until 1808, when it was banned by Congress. So that is less than 200 years. What, about 189 years or something like that? So in order for 50 million people, let's say that 10 million died and then passes, so 40 million people to come here, you would have had to have hundreds of people arrive here every single day over the course of nearly 2 centuries. Now, first off, there weren't that many ships transporting people at any stage.
No,
it's
no.
impossible. So later, those figures revised downward from 50 million to 30 million to 20 million to 12 million. So now they say between 10 and 12 million people, which is horrific. It's absolutely horrific. But over the course of 2 centuries in North America, but even longer going to South America, the vast majority, 97% of the people who were enslaved from Africa, didn't come to America or the Americas. They came to the Caribbean Basin and South America. That's where they went, mostly to Brazil and places like Jamaica and Cuba. Not here. Not here. That doesn't change the horror of it, but we're talking in the order of 200,000 to 300,000 people over the course of about 200,000 years, which is much more reasonable. And when you look at the U.S. population, the first federal census in 1790, the entire U.S. population of the 13 states was 3.1 million people. 3.1 million people. How in the world did 40 million people not repopulate? And it's the only states where there was a black majority was places like in the South, like South Carolina, where there were more blacks than there were whites because there were slaves. So, this nonsense about, how things happen, these stories get told and people just fall for them. They don't think these things true. It's, and of course, slavery continues to this day, and Europeans have been subjected to slavery for millennia, even into almost the 20th century. We had the Barbary pirates sailing as far as Iceland and capturing Icelandic citizens and putting them on slave ships and selling them in the market in Algiers into slavery. It's the Irish were sold as slaves in the Caribbean. But what they try to do is they have one focus on that. While all this was happening, the slave trade of black Africans from Black West Africa through the Sahel and through the Sahara to the North African and Middle East had already been going on for well over 1,200 years before there was a European slave trade. And it continued. And that slave trade has enslaved far more people, but they didn't populate. And you don't see large black populations in North Africa and Middle East. You see small ones because most of them were castrated, so they couldn't reproduce. That's a fact they like to ignore, as well as the Arab slave trade off the east coast of Africa. The whole purpose of Zanzibar was a slave market, bringing slaves from the shore over to the island, shipping them to Oman and the Arabian Peninsula, Iraq. And, it's convenient how people forget these things. They want to focus on their shame. Well, shame on them. Tell the whole story or don't tell any story.
Right, absolutely.
It's not about slavery for them. It's about what they can obtain out of something that happened. These people are what's that grief? They profit off other people's grief.
Grievance merchants.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, grievance.
There you go. That's the term.
Yeah, they basically spin people up, get you angered and pissed off, and then they spin you and say, hey, go after that person over there, go after that group. They're the reason why this happened so many years ago. Like Republicans of today have to somehow be blamed for slavery that happened on their watch, which didn't actually happen on their watch. They were a party that was formed to end slavery, but somehow we have to basically be blamed for slavery and all the ills of the 1960s, if you will, the voters' rights, all those
civil rights movement,
civil rights movements, etc. And somehow we have to bear the brunt of being the people who didn't support that, even though we were the ones who supported all of that. Supported equal rights, supported equal pay, people voting.
Civil rights started with Abraham Lincoln.
Right. So we're the party who started. That's what I'm trying to get at. We're the party who started that, but somehow today we have to bear the brunt and blame of that. And I'm like, why is that? And why don't people stand up for themselves that are a part of the Republican Party more often?
And don't dare bring up the fact that white people didn't go to Africa and beat the bush and drag black people out of Africa. It was black people trading black people as slaves for goods.
Sure. Right. Yeah. This tribe conquers
that
tribe.
Don't tell anybody that because they flip out on that one and they got all the excuses in the world.
Right. What happened? It happened here in the U.S. Native populations enslaved other native populations. It goes on. Human beings do this. To one another.
Yeah. There's no race that's innocent from it for sure.
No. Right. For sure. And here's another story. It's out of Newsmax. Representative Gill proposes 25-year pause on immigration from Somalia. Minnesota may not like that, but I think that might be a decent plan, especially in the billions and billions of fraud that they've committed against us.
Why 25 years? Why not permanent?
Yeah, you've gotten enough from us. We're moving on from you. Yeah, and plus the piracy that they still support, off their shores for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's still an issue today. They've been doing this for decades, and that's still an issue today. But you pretty much got a lawless nation over there, don't you? I mean, aren't they running without government or poor government or something's going on? Over there?
Somalia has a government, but it doesn't have control because Al-Shabaab still controls much of the countryside.
Right, absolutely. So, you guys watch the Grammys this past week at all?
No,
I never watched stuff like that.
Unwatchable.
No, I know. Yeah, but apparently there's some people on there saying that America was founded on stolen land from the Native Americans. Now you have Native American population. They're saying, well,
Billie
your mansion
Eilish.
is Billie Eilish. Yeah, your mansion,
Yeah.
your $14 million mansion is on land that we actually claim. So you going to give it up? Crickets from Billie Eilish, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. She's anyway. Look, it's just another idiot Hollywood celebrity that doesn't know anything about the world. That's just running their mouth. They're not worth the time of day. People shouldn't pay any attention to them. They know nothing of history. It's sad.
These are people just trying to rile people up on their emotions. This is what people do. You get people riled up on their emotions, and once you get them on the emotional level, you can work them over pretty good. And here again, grief merchants here.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, like Speaker Johnson, he used some Bible quotes and some scripture to go to push back against the Pope's rhetoric on migrants. Did you guys see this back and forth between the Speaker and the Pope?
I did not, but I'm not surprised. Mike Johnson's he is a bit of a surprise, a guy that's actually been rather effective despite all the stuff going on. He's pulled it off, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. He's forcing, Dems to reckon with him, I think. And he's not been a pushover like they thought he was going to be. I thought they him coming in, they thought, well, they got rid of the other guy pretty quickly. They'll get rid of him soon enough. And of course, he's been more of a stalwart against them, I think, than the pushover that they thought he was going to be.
Well, he got the big beautiful bill through, and he's gotten several other things through, and now we've even gotten this budget going through, which is a bit of a surprise. Although Homeland Security is only funded for 2 weeks, so we're going to be right back to the same thing in a couple weeks with Homeland Security, not with everything, but just Homeland Security. The rest of the government is funded now. So,
right, yeah,
at least for a little while.
No, until the end of the year. To the end of
is it to the end of the year? Well, that's a little while.
Everything in the government's funded to the end of fiscal year except Homeland Security now.
Right. Yeah, it looks like Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have mended a rift to come together on that for the time being. We'll see. That's according to Fox News. They mended a rift. That's what it says. So I'm not going to read into it. I'm sure they're going to have some sort of issue with it moving forward in a couple of weeks that they'll come out with. I mean, that's what they do, right? We'll mend the rift today. We'll come up with some drama tomorrow. We'll figure it out. Figure out a way to blame
when they need a distraction, Todd.
Yeah. Right, and they can't be seen as fighting amongst one another. They have to have the Republicans on the other side bearing the brunt, if you will.
Well, it's not good for optics. The left understand that, I guess. Here on the conservative side, we will fight with each other. We'll let each other know we don't mind. We'll go at it. But on the left, they like that unity thing. It's what they say, and they got a word for that unity, but it's not unity.
Right. So I want to follow up on a story that we talked about the last couple of weeks, and that's your story with regards to the immigrants, the South African immigrants. If you could follow up on that story, give some of the listeners, especially ones in South Africa, an update on that, if you don't mind, Colonel.
Yeah, you mean specifically the refugees?
Yeah, the refugees, correct. Yeah,
Sure.
The issue that you unboxed for a couple of weeks ago.
Well, that issue is happening in more than one location. Fortunately, it's a small number of people. Most of the refugees are getting very good assistance from the refugee case officers, but there are exceptions. And it's because most of the people that are involved in this are blue-haired leftist hate America crowd and want to flood America with immigrants. And so a lot of them have issues because, gosh, these aren't the immigrants we think. They're not poor, black, and starving and running from a war. But that doesn't mean they're not victims of persecution. And the answer I always give with this is that when they say that these people aren't deserving. So first off, you know what you're talking about, number one. Number two, so the Jews who came here in 1930s after Kristallnacht, and many of whom were multimillionaires and owned businesses, small business owners, they had money. They were white, so we shouldn't have accepted them. So because they were persecuted, because they didn't match your definition of refugees. In fact, most refugees in this world, former refugees before the 1970s or 80s, were white Europeans. They were the refugees. They were the ones fleeing from conflict all the time, not others. So these people just have attitudes, some of them. But the situation in Rochester, I have anecdotal information that there is an investigation now going on to what's happening in Rochester, that they're being investigated for the failure. Also, I do have updates. They've received communication from the headquarters at Church World Services that at least 3 of the different refugee families that got poor assistance, they've been told they're going to get help, but I'll believe it when I see it. Also, I found out that this program by the U.S. government is not wired as well as it should be. Yesterday, I started getting frantic messages from 2 of my moderators and from one of my viewers about WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups that they're in about refugees stranded in Frankfurt. Until recently, we had only used U.S. carriers to fly the refugees because they're under U.S. control, and they fly directly from South Africa to the U.S. So there's no issues with immigration because they're coming into the U.S., not somewhere else. But South Africans require a Schengen visa to enter Europe. And I'm not certain the status. They should be able to get in the UK as a Commonwealth country, but I'm not really sure how that works. But anyway, in Frankfurt, 30 refugees from 6 families were stranded because their flight was canceled owing to snow. Well, they were not briefed properly, or they didn't listen. I think they weren't briefed properly based on what I've heard from several of them. And what happened was they didn't know what to do. So they reached out to these groups on their WhatsApp and said, hey, we're stuck here. We have no food. We have no lodging. No one's helped us with anything. The only thing the airline did was rebook their flights, and it rebooked in a very bizarre fashion. So you have refugees on that flight that went from South Africa to Frankfurt, was supposed to come to Chicago. And from Chicago, they were supposed to fly to Utica, Buffalo, Kansas City, all over the place. Well, when they rebooked their flights, they rebooked them from Frankfurt to Chicago, but then on to DC. Everybody flew to DC. Why? That's completely the opposite direction from where most of these people are going. It made no sense whatsoever. The whole reason for going to Frankfurt because it flies to Chicago because it has connecting flights to the place they're going. So not really sure what happened there, but I saw images of their boarding passes, but no boarding pass for where they go in the States, which is strange. And I asked them for the sheet that had their case number and their refugee case officer on it, and they gave it to me. I called 3. The other families disappeared in the airport somewhere, but the 3 that were there, I called their case officers. 2 case officers didn't answer. That doesn't mean anything good or bad, but they never got back with me. That's kind of disrespectful and rude. But the 3rd case officer picked up. He was in Utica, New York. And I explained to him the situation. He said, who are you again? I said, I'm Colonel Chris Wyatt. I'm an advocate for refugees, and I'm also an independent journalist. And he goes, I know who you are. I said, okay, you know who I am. Okay. One of the refugees that lives in Utica follows my program and said that he should watch it because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to refugee program. But apparently he's doing a very good job. He went out of his way to tell me he's doing a good job. It wasn't necessary, but I appreciate it. But that's maybe because he knows about what happened in Rochester with Church World Service. Apparently I'm well known in some circles, at least in New York, because I expose what's going on there. So I don't know if things are better. But in the meantime, as I said, in full disclosure, I've also had refugees who had Church World Service in other locations. They've been fantastic. A lady in Tampa is incredible support officer, incredible case officer. Already had their appointment for the Social Security within a week of arriving. Their employment authorization document. They had food waiting. They had a clean, brand new apartment. The refugee case officer has talked to them every single day since they arrived, visited them every other day. It's just amazing. But again, that's someone that cares about what they're doing. And people seem to lose sight of the fact that some people just do a job. It's not about caring. It's about doing a job. And they leave people. But the problem I have with what I was talking about with the Frankfurt thing wasn't just that. Apparently 180 refugees flew to Heathrow. And some of them, their connecting flights were messed up. So they wound up at Heathrow. And they didn't have in-transit visas. And I didn't realize that they needed that for the UK. But apparently there was an issue there. Maybe it was just Frankfurt. But whatever the case is, the people in Frankfurt slept on the floor in the airport terminal. And they were there for almost a day as a consequence of this. And the 180 went to Heathrow, plus 30 went to Frankfurt. And that's in addition to the U.S. carriers that flew people out, probably at least 30 per flight to Newark and to Atlanta on that night. So 180 plus another 30 is 210, plus 60 is about 270 to 300 refugees came out on a single day from South Africa. Now that's a marked increase. Last year, during the proof of concept and the long interregnum between that before the program formally got started in the new fiscal year, we averaged 2 per day from May until later in the year. And then from November, after the shutdown, just for the last 13 days in November, we averaged 37 refugees per day. In December, it was 50 refugees per day until the Christmas exodus stopped things around the 15th or 16th. Then it picked up again the 5th of January. It was 50 initially. Within a couple of days, it was up to 100, then 120. Now it looks like 300 per day are coming over. This is insane. This is a lot of people. This is going to be very devastating in South Africa's tax revenue base. It's going to be, and the human capital just disappearing. And already before the refugee program came along, there were an average of 82 South Africans abandoning the country and moving overseas every single day, net 82. So you throw in another 300, that's a country that really doesn't have a large human capital base when it comes to many fields of expertise. And 300, 400 people per day leaving the country, that's not sustainable.
No, not at all. John, you were going to jump in?
No, I was just sitting there listening to what he's saying. That's pretty interesting stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of growing, it's developing, and people are getting some relief now.
Yeah, so it's a story we're going to keep following, I hope, and Colonel can keep us updated on this, and especially, our South African listeners and watchers that are out there. Hopefully this helps you guys out and keeps you updated, and hopefully keeps it within that network of what's really going on, what the Colonel's talking about.
Well,
folks, you're listening to
does.
the comments. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
Folks, you're listening to the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. We're live every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 Eastern. We make sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day. The Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Of course, myself as a host, Colonel Chris Wyatt, and John Grosvenor, who holds down the studio there. It's a free flowing. If you're just joining us, just a free flowing discussion. We, rotate the host duties every week, and of course, whatever anybody wants to talk about, we throw it out there. And of course, one of these stories is the refugee story from South Africa that's probably not getting a lot of coverage, nationally, and it takes good journalists like the Colonel, every day, out there muckraking, if you will, not saber rattling, but basically letting people know, hey, this is going on. Hopefully at some point it will gain national attention and people can focus on this.
Well, it has had a bit of national attention, but it's all been negative. Of course, it comes to the likes of the Washington Post, who just laid off 1/3 of their staff.
Yeah, right. Wonder why?
Yeah, it's an operation that's not profitable. So, yep, that just happened. Yep.
Representative Perry told Newsmax Clintons will try to obfuscate on Epstein, and it says House investigators expect honest answers from former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton during their upcoming testimony on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, but they will likely try to, quote, end quote, obfuscate, Representative Scott Terry, PA, said to Newsmax on Wednesday. And of course, he says they are experts at it. Perry, a member of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, told National Report, look, they've been playing this committee for over 6 months now. I think they've been playing your committee since they've been in politics. You're probably not going to get anything out of them. And the Epstein files, no one's ever going to go down for that, I don't think. No one of note will go down for it.
No,
we've said it here many, many, many times. So, but anyway, of course they're going to lie for sure.
I don't think we're going to see any heads roll in DC. It seems like, we did see, what was that guy's name there out of New York? The representative. God, I can't think of his name. Started with an S. Santos, or was it?
It was the guy that was from Long Island that was kicked out by the Republicans.
Santos,
yeah. I think he went to jail, didn't he? For what he did, or
briefly, and Trump pardoned him. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, but all in all, we just don't see, as far as when it comes to government corruption and these illegal activities and stuff, we just never see anything come from it. I don't know if it's just they're too well connected, or they're just too big to take down, or what's going on here.
Probably too big to take down. It's always the small guy or gal that gets a slap on the wrist and says, oh, well, they took the fall here. Nobody big's ever going to go down for any of this. I can say for sure. After they die, maybe something is released. But
somebody probably said it best when they said Hillary Clinton supposedly said that if she goes down, she's taking a lot of people with her. And that kind of prevents people from taking people down because too many friends and too many people remain protected.
Oh, for sure. But anyway, we've talked about it many, many times here for sure. And it's anyway, I just thought it was interesting that it's still out there. No one's going to go down for anything.
So here's the problem with this, and this is something I also share with my audience as well, is that when it comes to the Epstein files, there's been this fervor for Trump to release the files. First off, we have 4 years of Biden. The files were there. Nothing was released. If they had anything on Trump, which is why they want it, then it would have come out. They would have held something back to get rid of Trump. Remember, Joe Biden was calling for the assassination of Donald Trump. We got to take this guy out during the campaign before he dropped out. Actually called for the assassination, and there was assassination attempts against him in Butler shortly after that. People forget that. I haven't forgotten that. A sitting president calling for the assassination of his opponent was ridiculous.
Right.
And so, this whole thing, the left didn't care to expose the files. Then when Trump becomes president, the right is demanding because they think they're going to find something to go after the left. And the problem with exposing these files, they're investigative files. And as a federal law enforcement official, retired counterintelligence agent who does background investigations and did them and understands adjudication process, the problem is that you have people that have no understanding of what they're looking at, and they see something and then they make leaps of faith. So, for instance, someone that's the president, former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, was invited to England by the Queen. Went there. While he was there, Epstein was in town, and all these elites move in these circles. So they invited the president of South Africa to a party, a reception. He went, and to entice him to come, they said, "Oh, there'll be this Russian supermodel is going to be there. She's kind of hot." So he went. Who knows what happened or didn't happen with the Russian supermodel? But they're taking that and they're trying to say that, wow, Jacob Zuma was now Epstein's friend. They were associates. No, I know a South African businessman who went to a party in New York, a cocktail party, and Epstein also showed up at that party. He gave him his business card, as did probably every other person there, because he at least tried to curry favor and make connections. So his business card goes back. It gets put into his address book by his personal assistant. And then the Epstein files come out. Aha, he's an associate. No, it doesn't mean that. You kind of take these things out of context. It's like they have no proof that Trump ever went to Epstein Island. They keep making this claim.
I mean, think about it. You've been to business or even just political events in DC, and you hand out probably 100 business cards in a night. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, exactly.
That's
now you're an associate. Look, I mean, as someone that works in the diplomatic community, I shook hands with thousands of people. I took photographs with thousands of people. This place, that place. That doesn't mean I know them. Remember, famously, and this is one that they try to play. Lillian Carter met John Wayne Gacy. The man
right.
Yeah. Because he worked in Chicago politics, and she went to Chicago. He was at an event. He came up and took a picture with her. Well, I had two fraudsters in South Africa that were trying to defraud South Africans of money related to the refugee program. And I told people from the outset, it costs you nothing. You don't pay anything. If anyone asks you for money, they're frauds. Well, people don't listen, and they're hard-headed. Nope. And these guys took thousands of dollars from gullible South Africans. They came to my meet and greet while I was in South Africa. I don't know who they are from Adam. Hundreds of people want to take a photograph of me, and I obliged them. We took a photograph, and that's a memory for some people. For me, it's a memory too. These two hucksters then try to use the photograph to imply that I endorsed their scam. But my viewers were actually watching these scumbags, and they called them out and said, no. It's free. The colonel said so. You knock it off. You people are frauds. And so after that, then the one guy tried to make a video. He said, no, I went to the meet and greet, and I really wasn't impressed by the colonel. I mean, I don't know what he knows, but he doesn't seem to know anything. And tried to throw shade on me after they got caught trying to grift people by using a photograph of me. My point is that the fact that you appear in a photograph with someone, or that you're on a plane with someone, or that you wound up in the same place as someone on a certain date doesn't mean you're an associate, doesn't mean you're guilty or complicit in anything. If, however, you made 9 trips to Epstein Island, maybe
different story.
Unless you're the tailor bringing new suits every time.
Right. Yeah, I was watching a bit. Jon Stewart did a bit. He's like, by the way, guys, I got to do full disclosure here. I'm paraphrasing what he said. He's like, I appear in the Epstein files. And he went through and he said, and we laid it out there, and he goes, it says where he appeared in it. He goes, we could have a host like Jon Stewart do this. And he's like, a host like Jon Stewart? Why not just get Jon Stewart to do it? I'm here, But he made a joke of like, oh, we'll get a host like Jon Stewart, not Jon Stewart. He's like, see, anybody can appear in the Epstein files for anything, and it's not that important. But somebody says that I appear in the Epstein files. He's like, they're telling the truth. But it's this one sentence, and it just says a host like him. He said, so it doesn't mean you've done anything. Just kind of like the colonel said, it doesn't mean you've done anything just because you appear in there, which is true.
I've said that before. It was a pleasure island. Some people may went down there to entertain. You don't know what they were doing there.
Right.
People
but like I said, you go multiple times, especially what coincides with whenever the Lolitas were there, then there's a question mark for sure.
Yep. No, it's exactly the problem. But
to Chris's point, the left is still trying to do it online every day. Look, here's Trump, a video of Trump with Epstein. Yeah, they were at the same party together. Big deal. They were talking and interacting and stuff. Big deal. It's a very old video. He might not even know what Epstein was about back then.
Well, Trump ended his not relationship, but Trump ended everything with Epstein years before that even came out, when he realized he was a scumbag, just walked away from it.
He was a rich guy hanging out, in Palm Beach. And all these people, they associate with one group or another, and they all kind of gravitate to each other, and they try to maneuver each other. It's not even based on politics. It's based on opportunity of, hey, I can maybe get a business grift out of this or a business contact. And that's what they do. They move in the same circles. And so what? if Epstein happened to show up at Mar-a-Lago, like you said, he kicked him out well before all this stuff broke.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think some people are giving credit to Trump for having gotten Epstein arrested in the first place before his passing.
Right.
Yeah, and that they never get any credit for that. But whatever, look, people are going to live in their fantasy world. There's not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
No,
you talked about. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh no, I was agreeing with Chris, just saying no, you're right. It's just people being emotional and not logical and trying to make something mountains out of molehills here, and they're trying to concoct things and connect dots that just don't connect.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of assassination attempts, Ryan Ruth gets life sentence for Trump assassination attempt. He's the guy down in Florida who attempted to assassinate him on his golf course, or on the golf course he was playing at the time. And it says U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon pronounced Ryan Ruth's fate in the same Fort Pierce courtroom that erupted into chaos in September when he tried to stab himself shortly after jurors found him guilty on all counts. So that's something that just came out, and this is a story from Newsmax, by the way. So good stuff. At least we got one conviction out of this whole thing. But love to know more about the Butler PA guy. Obviously he's dead, but I'd love to know more about his background and the whole story behind that.
Well, it's interesting enough that, of course, his whole social media disappeared instantly.
Right away, quickly.
Yep. No, he won't be punished because he's gone. So, but this other guy is, So,
right.
Yeah.
Love to just know more information about the whole Butler thing. It's just interesting. You know what I mean? Like, who did the guy talk to? Where did he get any training? How did he come up with, using the drone, using, laser rangefinder? I know it's not necessarily classified stuff, but putting it all together, though, must have got inspired from somewhere. What video did you watch to get this idea? I don't know.
Look, I mean, it's the whole thing. What was going on back then? Trying to rub Trump out. It was just shameful. The Democrats would try anything, and it failed. Trump's there. It failed.
Right. Well, Bill Gates, since he's back in the national spotlight, especially with his wife, Melinda Gates, Bill Gates, foolish that I spent time with Epstein. So the guy who hung out with him for years, now he's lamenting the fact that he spent any time with him. So boo-hoo to you, Bill Gates.
A lot of people speculated that's why he got divorced.
Very possible. And now they're saying that, about the STD thing, and his wife, kind of got a... I guess they had a riff once he apparently got an STD. I don't know if that's true or not, but according to the emails, it may be true. Who knows?
That'll take the wife away. You come home with that. Yeah. She want to get rid of you.
Very
right.
salacious.
Can your billions get rid of an STD? I don't know.
Well, it took billions to get rid of him.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So we're heading up to top of the hour here. Any thoughts or anything going on that's out there that we haven't touched thus far?
Yeah. What is up with Trump pulling out of Minneapolis? Is that just timing? That looks kind of like he's backing off from Minneapolis because of all these meetings, or is he just finished? I know White House put out a statement on stuff, and they did remove 4,000 illegal immigrants out of among all the riff and all the BS going on. They managed to grab 4,000 illegals.
Yeah, I think you leave it, let it cool off. Maybe you come back in the spring or summer, something like that.
You can use water cannons.
Go, yeah, right, yeah. Go elsewhere for a little while. Let it cool off. Let the heat die down for a little bit, and come back whenever they think everything's good to go, and then get them again.
Yeah, water cannons aren't so good at when it's like minuses out there, because it might turn into ice crystals and penetrate flesh, and it'd be nasty. So,
well, you can mix it with antifreeze and then just shoot it at the protesters.
Here we go. Now he's talking about chemical warfare over here, Colonel Chris.
Oh no,
it's not quite chemical warfare. He's not making them swallow it.
No, that's true. Goodness. All right. That is funny. Yeah, he advocated for chemical warfare in Minneapolis. No, he did not. He simply said, "Hey, science came up with something that keeps water from freezing." That's what he said.
Exactly.
Chris Wyatt rivals will stop at no bounds.
Right? Yeah. He's out trying to kill protesters. Everybody, my goodness, you guys get this?
No,
but Trump did say after it all that maybe ICE could use a little softer touch, and I think that was after the Alex Preddy thing. How do you guys feel about that statement?
I don't like giving in.
Yeah, I think if you got 4,000 people, I think you could call a halt to the mission at some point soon. I wouldn't admit defeat. I'd come right back, come right
I
back,
don't think he was.
revamp it.
I don't think he was admitting defeat. But
Never
like you
admit
said,
defeat.
there is nothing wrong with just pulling back. Say, look, we can use our resources elsewhere. We don't have to waste them here. And if we're being impeded upon, we'll circle back on it at another time. I get that logic. If you're not being productive, then you may as well circle back and re-strategize. But the softer touch thing is what I was getting at. Is he made a statement about ICE could use a softer touch, and I was kind of taken back a little bit by the fact that he said it.
Well, to me, it's capitulation. If you're going to scale things back, then you scale things back when it's necessary, not when you've taken the heat, which is what's going on here. But the problem is that they didn't declare martial law. They didn't invoke the Insurrection Act and let these people run around and attack law enforcement, impede them, approach them. I mean, what are these people doing running up to cops, who have firearms? Do you think that's going to go well? I mean, honestly, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I want to know who's orchestrating this, because to me, when I view all of this and take in a bigger picture, I see guys running up to cops going, well, you can't arrest us. There's nothing you can do to us. So we'll just tell you, we'll do what we want to do because you can't touch us. It's like, dude, do you read the law? Oh, yes, they can. If you're obstructing justice, they can arrest you.
Right. Yeah. You're
the
getting in their face.
duties.
You're getting in their face. Even if you're not touching them physically, you're impeding them from their duties. You can be arrested for that, for sure.
But I get the impression that there's somewhere more centralized. Somebody is guiding this. You know what I mean? Giving them ideas about things and sometimes giving them misinformation like they can't be touched.
Well, they haven't been touched. I mean, look, there's been almost no consequence to these people. They're not losing their employment. They're not going to jail. Almost nothing's happening.
Yeah, but I don't know about with ICE, but DA or FBI in the past have set back and waited till it was all settled, then come back with video evidence. Pretty much did facial recognition, come back and say, okay, now we're going to start picking J6. We're going to start picking people off one by one. That's happened too. So
that was January 6th. Is that going to happen here?
That's what I'm saying. It's not impossible that ICE might be going, it's okay, because we are coming back for arrest. They may be, building their cases and stuff based on video
Very
evidence.
possible. Very possible.
And come back for these people.
Well, the pipe bomber on January 6th too. I mean, how long did that take to get that guy? Long time, right? I mean, I hope we're not waiting that long.
But they were
not
persistent.
waiting that long.
No, but yeah, so we may see something come out of this in the long run. So it's not impossible.
No, I'm not going to hold my
breath.
breath.
These people aren't politicians or politically connected. They're just citizens on the street. So their heads might roll.
We'll see. We had the Summer of Love in 2020 when the insurrection took place and nothing was done about it.
Actually, a lot of people did get arrested at that time. Nobody was reporting
slaps on the wrist, but
well,
billions of dollars in damage too, plus the insurance costs on everybody we all had to pay for.
Well, we got a lot of reports that Act Blue, along with people like Harris, was bailing these people out of prisons and dealing with liberal judges. Activist judges are a thing, and that is problematic in the United States. We need real judges that are adjudicating based on law, not, well, it's our agenda, so we can let this one go because he's working for us.
Right. Yep, absolutely. I get what you're saying. Got a few minutes here left. Have you seen that this Savannah Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie's mom was either kidnapped or something? She's gone missing. Have you guys followed this crime at all or this issue?
I haven't followed it, but I did see a news bit on it, and I had to actually ask who is this woman? I didn't even know who she was.
Right.
But yeah, but it's kind of like a mystery, right? They don't know what's really going on behind it.
Right. Yeah. Savannah Guthrie, who's a major, I think was NBC, right? Or where's she from? But anyway, major national.
ABC, Good Morning American. Isn't she on Good Morning America or is it Today's Show? It's one of those.
Yeah, NBC. I was right. Yeah, Good Morning America and a bunch of other stuff. Been around for decades. Her mother's 80-some years old out in Arizona. It's gone missing. Apparently, it's a potential crime scene. They don't know if she's been murdered or kidnapped or for ransom or not.
There's apparently it's a kidnapping. There's a ransom note now, apparently.
Okay,
so.
Yeah, weird.
Or somebody's trying to latch onto it. That
right. Yeah,
that would be sick. That'd be sick if somebody was just hoaxing them with a ransom note.
Right. Well, somebody speculated the other day, said that there could have been some foul play, and now they're throwing in the ransom note to cover the foul play. I don't know. I mean, any number of scenarios if you don't have a body, for sure.
Well, we certainly hope that they recover in good health and.
Right, for sure.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they made any reports if maybe she suffers from dementia or Alzheimer's or.
Which is possible if somebody could walk away from their home and you find them, in a field somewhere weeks later. It's sad.
It happens. It's actually happened. Yeah.
That's why those amber alerts and silver alerts are important to take the heat, if you will. If you see a silver alert, amber alert, and you're in an area where you can help, keep your eyes open.
Yeah, I would get a GPS tracker for a necklace or something if I had an elderly person that I had to care for that was suffering from that, because they can get out of sight. They can get away from you and wander off. And I know I've seen cases where they get in a car and drive away and don't know where they're going. They thought they were going somewhere, they get lost. That's why you see the silver alert on the interstate or something, because that's what they did. They got lost out there and didn't know where they were going.
Yep, I've had family members who've had that happen, and like driving with their grandkids, and like they drive into another city, and it's like, hey, Grandpa, where are we? We were going home. Why are you in this other city? And they come to their senses, like, what happened? Where are we? Oh, and then they drive back home. Didn't have a clue that what they were doing for about 20 minutes. They were driving somewhere. Yeah. End up in a neighboring city. It's sad.
It is.
So
it's pretty crazy, actually.
Yep, absolutely. So any final thoughts before we hit the music here in a couple minutes?
Well, I am very excited that we didn't get our 1776 payment.
Were you owed a 1776 payment?
No, they paid it to active duty and reservists who were on active duty, but not to veterans or retirees.
Oh, the bonus. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. It's tax exempt.
Oh, I want to get my 1776 bonus. Come on. I'm going to check my bank account here in a minute.
Do they give you what, like $1,776 or?
Correct. And they gave it all active duty. It's an allowance, so it's non-taxable. And they gave it to reservists who were on active duty at the time. So it worked out pretty well for them. Yeah. So
that's actually kind of pretty cool, isn't it?
It is, but so someone that's been in basic training, I got 60 days in the Army gets it, and Todd's got 20 years, and I got 36 years, and we got nothing.
Is that from the tariffs by chance? Is that like from a tariff?
Supposedly the tariffs are going to fund it, but yeah. No, news this week was reminding the service members that it's not taxable because it was an allowance.
There you go. But don't go blow it on a car or anything like that. Put it in a bank account. Let it accrue some interest for you.
Hey, that's, did you see the Trump accounts last week were announced? He's got this set up. So the federal government, for any child born during Trump's administration this time around, they put $1,000. You open an account, the government puts $1,000 in there. A lot of employers are matching this. For instance, we saw that JP Morgan will, for their 190-some thousand employees, any of them have kids at the time frame, they'll match it. And then you can put up to $5,000 in there, tax exempt every year. And then that money, by the time your child is 18, even with no return, will have $95,000 in it if you take advantage of $96,000.
Right.
When you consider the returns compounded and value increasing over nearly 2 decades of investment, you're going to start your child off with $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million or more if it goes really well, that they can start their life off with, which they can use to fund college. They can buy an automobile. They can start a small business. They can buy a house. They are going to be fantastic shape for those who put money aside. Now, some people are skeptics and critics saying, well, that's not fair. Only rich people can do it. No, you don't have to put $5,000 in. That's what you can put in as a limit. You can put $100 in, put $200 in. Every penny goes in, it adds up. Folks do not understand the magic of compounding interest, the magic of things. It's just, it looks small, but over a short period of time, then it just takes off. It's just amazing. And just look at it this way. If you have $100 and the market got you 18% return, which is phenomenal, but it happens sometimes. And that's actually last year, most of my stuff was 18%. If you have $100 at the end of the year, you have $118, but then you got to pay taxes on $18. So you really only have about $112 that to pay the taxes. Okay. Right. But in a tax deferred account, you have the $118. But if that account grows to 100,000, that's $18,000. If it grows to $1 million, that's $180,000 it grows. You see how over time compounding, but people are just stubborn. They think about today and that's it. And that's the top of the hour, Todd.
There we go, folks. We'll be right back after this break. John, stick around, folks.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at wsmn.live.
USA Radio News, I'm Ron Warner. As former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper runs for the U.S. Senate, recent violent crimes in Charlotte are renewing scrutiny over a 2021 prison release settlement from his administration. DeCarlos Brown Jr., charged with fatally stabbing 23-year-old Irina Zarutska on a Charlotte light rail train, appears on records linked to the COVID-era agreement that allowed the early release or transition of 3,500 inmates. Cooper's campaign denies Brown was released under the settlement and emphasizes his record as Attorney General and Governor prosecuting violent crimes. Republicans, however, argue the case highlights transparency and public safety concerns. Lawmakers are seeking access to the full list of inmates affected, while Cooper defends his policies as part of a broader approach to criminal justice during the pandemic. President Trump is doubling down on his claim that the 2020 election was stolen from him.
The president made those comments in a podcast on Monday, saying that last Wednesday's FBI raid of the Fulton County Elections Hub in Union City, where 700 boxes of 2020 election ballots were stored, will prove it. And at last Friday's premiere of the First Lady's movie, he told reporters,
as you know, they got into the votes. You got to sign judge's order in Georgia, and you're going to see some interesting things happening.
Fulton County officials say they're still weighing their options regarding challenging the seizure's legality. I'm Liz Kennedy.
The Washington Post is making major staffing changes, with hundreds of employees expected to be laid off in a restructuring announced Wednesday. Staff were asked to stay home for a Zoom briefing where executives outlined cuts, including the shuttering of the sports desk, scaling back of international coverage, and the elimination of the books section. The Post Guild is organizing a Save the Post rally as remaining employees and the broader journalism community weigh the impact of the cuts on the paper's future and its reporting reach. From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30+ years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to truckersunitedforfreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong. Mammoth Nation.
Hi, Nashua. I'm Perry Cataldo from Choice Benefit Services, your local insurance agent that has dedicated himself to all the Medicare plans in New Hampshire. Whether you're just turning 65, new to Medicare, or already have a plan, I'll explain all your Medicare options and extra benefits that you hear so much about. I ensure you're getting all you're entitled to and all that you deserve. Nashua, don't get fooled again this year. Call Perry Cataldo at 603-461-5550. That's 603-461-5550. Or visit me online at cbsnh.com. That's cbsnh.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, health is wealth.
Most social platforms throttle your reach, track your behavior, and decide what you're allowed to see. Audax does none of that. Here, you control the algorithm. Your posts go where you send them, without shadow bans, filters, or hidden limits. Audax doesn't spy on your private life. No one listens to your calls. No one monitors your searches. And because we don't take money from corporate advertisers, no one is manipulating what you see or how you use the platform. Audax is built for patriots who want a place to organize, speak freely, and push back against the issues facing America without interference. Freedom isn't free, but it's worth every penny. Join the Rise for Liberty project at audax1.com and take back your voice.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com. Stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument. Memorials of distinction for people who care.
Welcome back to the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. I won't go through the whole spiel that we play at the beginning of this show. Of course, we're live every Wednesday night, 7 to 9 Eastern. Colonel Chris Wyatt, John Grosvenor in the studio, myself, Todd McKinley in Northeast Tennessee, talking about whatever tickles our fancy. And speaking of tickle my fancy, Democrats still going at it amongst themselves about funding ICE right as of right now. I know we're supposed to be keeping the government open, supposed to be passing budgets and all this stuff, but they can't even keep it straight amongst themselves. Are they for ICE, against it, or what do they want to do here? Really odd group there.
The thing about it is, I think, is when they say they want to defund, or they want to defund national security, I mean, what's going on here? I mean, we need ICE, don't we? We need to have enforcement for immigrations. I forgot. They're the ones with the open borders. Never mind.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton and Obama and even Biden, whenever he initially ran, 2020, he was for closing the borders, making sure, we have ICE and everything in the streets. And then all of a sudden, it's like they get elected. And it's like, wait a minute, open borders. Everybody, come on, wink and nod. Come on through. What I said was a lie during the actual campaign. Especially during the Clinton campaigns and the Obama campaigns, they were for ICE. They were for border security and all that. They were against gays in the military and all this other stuff that they're all of a sudden for, which, gays in the military is not an issue with me. But anyway, all the things that they said they were for, immediately they get elected or do the political wind test, if you will, see which way the political winds are blowing, hold the finger up, and all of a sudden that's which way they're shifting quickly. Talking about flip-flopping. I mean, it's just, at a moment's notice for these people.
Weren't they the party when Trump, first administration 45, weren't they the party that was taking images of kids in cages and stuff like that? But when you panned back, it was all just an illusion.
Right. Well, they were taking pictures during the Obama administration and then blamed Trump whenever he got into office for these things, kids in cages. It's like, actually they weren't kids in cages. You're just zoomed in on one particular photo, trying to make it look like it's something that's not.
The cage was wide open, and it was like,
right.
It was such a joke, but they were trying to make Trump look guilty of something he wasn't guilty of.
Right. And there are reasons why you would want to split kids off from adults that you don't know if they're their parents or not, because a lot of times they were putting these people with coyotes or just other family members and just getting them into the country. And a lot of these were going to be sex trafficked and other things. And back during the summer, I was at the American Legion National Convention in Tampa, and a guy who's fighting against this, not just illegal immigration, but basically kidnapping and bringing kids in this country for slavery, sex slavery, and all this stuff. I mean, they freed hundreds of kids that are out there. And a lot of times what'll happen is they'll just leave these kids out on the open plains, left to their own devices. Once they get across the border, and some of them have died on these ranches in the middle of the night because they have no clothes, nothing. It
gets cold in
just
that
left,
desert too.
Just left by these
rattlesnakes and cold air. Elements will take them out
right.
in a
and
heartbeat.
these are things that don't get reported on down there in Arizona and Texas. The number numbers of people that have died on these ranches just out in the middle of the open. Once they get them
Well-
across the border, that's all they care about. In some cases.
And going back to what you were saying earlier, Todd, they have caught numbers of people coming across the border trying to traffic children, and numbers.
Yeah.
Of them. They do it all
Right.
the time. This
And he
is
was-
not uncommon.
And he was saying that, these cartels are organized, very organized. They have systems in place, kind of like, we have systems in place on this side to catch them and try to get them out of here. They have systems in place to get people here where they want them to go. There are people who order on the black market, if you will, on these black sites, if you will, on the internet, order children to be sent to their homes or to be picked up somewhere, retrieve them. And they'll say, this child, I don't want them to be harmed or whatever. So they won't be sexually assaulted on the entire trip because they pay so much for them. I mean, it's sick stuff that goes on that's out
So
there.
by black sites, you meant dark websites, right?
Dark websites, correct. Yeah, they'll have documentation with them that'll say which classification of smuggled person that they fall in. Some people you can't mess with. Some people you can. Some people you can push around, make them do stuff. Some people you have to leave alone. And these cartels follow these weird rules. And he was laying it out there for us. Very sick stuff that goes on in this country. And you got to think they wouldn't be doing this, whether it's illegal drugs or human beings, if there wasn't a demand for it in our own country.
That's the sick part.
Right.
That's the sick part right there.
Right.
There's
Absolutely.
Americans out there that are supporting this and funding.
Oh, right.
And I've heard
And-
people say stuff like that where I really don't care where it comes from as long as my needs are satisfied. It's like, excuse me, what? Where are your morals? Where are your standards? Where were you raised?
Right. And people, even whenever it comes to say getting a house built cheap, you want the cheap labor, and I can understand not wanting to pay through the nose to build a new house or an addition or whatever. But you got to think about the people that are, doing the subcontracting or, the tertiary contracting. These are people that are being smuggled and taken advantage of in a big way. And we're playing a major role in that by wanting the cheap labor and stuff like that. We're part of the problem too, in a lot of ways. But go ahead, Colonel. I see the Colonel.
He's throwing up his
just
hand.
shrugging his shoulders like, yeah, obviously.
Oh, by the way, I don't have comments over here. My comments aren't coming up on the screen, just so as you guys know. I don't know if you guys been seeing comments.
Comments stopped a second ago. I don't know why. And the Colonel's talking, but I don't hear him.
Uh-oh. Is he muted?
No, I can't hear the Colonel either. Because he's been talking for a few minutes and I can't hear the Colonel. I hear John, no problem. Are we going over the air there, John?
Yeah, we're fine. We're hitting
Okay.
it just fine over here. Everything looks fine. I'm checking, for mutes and stuff like that. But no, looks like Chris's microphone should be wide open. Chris, did you mute it by mistake or? Well, I guess we'll find out in a moment, or he'll be calling on the phone line. Something. Oh no, he had it on.
I don't know what's going on. Colonel's doing some troubleshooting to the listeners out there. Yeah, over here in the comments, I do see somebody put up here that, these stories remind me of kids being trafficked on the TV show Blacklist. But I'm like, yeah, the TV shows don't even do it justice of what really goes on out there. The sickness in our society. People being trafficked for sex slavery. Also for prostitution. Yeah, there you go, Colonel. Gotcha. Sex prostitution. Okay. All sorts of stuff that goes on, and it's not just a pretty woman story that, people are like, oh, she's just, doing it of her own volition and all that. A lot of people do not do that of their own volition. They are forced into it. And, there's a lot more to it than just, than somebody just putting themselves out on the street. There's a lot behind it. Anyway, we can't probably we can do it justice here for sure.
Yeah. Talk about it forever. Never hit the everything on it, man. It's like the way people use drugs. I mean, here locally, in our country, domestically, people will get young girls hooked on drugs and force them into that.
Right. That's true. I mean, any number of things that go on, any number of scenarios, but you think about it, you can go Central South America and some places and just scoop them up off streets. It seems in some respects, and just bring them here. No problem. It's just a matter of somebody buying them, and it's sad.
Well, that's part of why we're supposed to have a vetting process, when we bring people into this country. Partly because of that, I mean, to keep crime down, to keep drug trafficking down, human trafficking down, things like that.
Right,
but
right.
Also, getting the right people into the country. You don't want, you don't build a strong society because you let the degenerates into your country. You build a strong society because you let skilled labor into your country, because you let professionals into your country
Right.
that want to participate and contribute to your society. At the same time, we're supposed to vet for disease. So when you got open borders, it's very dangerous to our country. Remember back when the bed bugs thing started up because we had open borders, and now all of a sudden everybody's getting bed bugs. You go to the motels and you got bed bugs, and some measles, I think, started making a comeback, and
Right.
who knows
All
what else.
sorts of things we've eradicated over the past century or more. And now all of a sudden it's just back, with a vengeance in our country in some respects, And then, of course, people want to be anti-jab and this and that. It's like, I can see being anti-jab where somebody wants to force you to, some experimental vaccine, but things that have been out there and that are proven effective, I'm like, let's use some common sense on some of these vaccines, if you will, before we be fully anti-jab. Come on.
And in all fairness, some of that's coming from because we have a growth of autism in this country. A lot of people think has a lot to do with the preservatives they're using in vaccinations. I don't know if they have to use those particular preservatives or not, but you're putting hard metals like mercury and stuff in vaccinations.
Oh, right.
Be healthy for children.
No,
So
for sure.
There are some concerns, legitimate concerns about vaccinations, and if they're not being counterproductive. They are being productive. They may be counterproductive in other ways.
But you said the key word legitimate, and I'm like, you certainly should, we should exercise due diligence and educate ourselves on it. But at the same time, every single vaccine that's out there isn't like trying to get you or something. You know what I mean? Let's just use our head.
The COVID thing was experimental, and even Donald Trump.
That's what
he said it'll be a choice when he was in office. He intended for us to have a choice whether we wanted to take it. It was for our protection at our discretion. But when I started to say Biden, when Biden came in, Biden's fitting, but when he came in, he didn't want it to be a choice. He was trying to mandate it, and they were going through the states to mandate it, and they're putting a lot of pressure on localities, mayors and stuff like that. And you can't go to school if they're not vaccinated, or you can't go to work if you're not vaccinated, or hey, you know what? If you don't get vaccinated, we'll kick you out of the military. And you've heard it all.
Right.
We've all heard it all. It was ridiculousness. So they were forcing the issue one way or the other. There was people like myself that could squeeze through the cracks on that and give them the finger on it, and I did. And you know what? I'm still alive today. I didn't die. Imagine that.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't kill anybody either.
Yeah, I didn't take the jab. That's for sure. I mean, in fact, the last couple of years, I've never even gotten a flu shot. But occasionally I'll get a flu shot. That's about it. And if I need something when I'm at the VA, if it's a reasonable vaccine, yeah, I'll take it. But I've not had to have a vaccine in a while, so I think I'm all right.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's proven people died from having taken the vaccination.
Right. A lot of young athletes that have died on the field of heart attacks,
What was that? Myocarditis, something I can't remember.
Right.
But yeah, it caused that. It some inflammation or something in the heart or something. And and Chris, I think, is still fighting with his microphone.
It's sorry, I turned it off because it was acting up, so I turned it off. No, I said myocarditis, something like that.
Yeah. So I was thinking, man, we're just Todd and I are just like taking over the show here, Chris. I thought we were pumping you out or something.
No, it's just being difficult. Stuff like that happens. So
technology is interesting.
It is indeed.
It's awesome. I mean, the things we can do with technology, like just doing this, what we're doing now, is incredible that we can do the things that we do. Remember what the days when we were kids, especially Chris and I, and Father would make a long distance phone call. You want to talk to Grandma? Yeah, I'll say hi to Grandma. You get that phone. You never let go of that phone. He wasn't let you have the phone. He put it right to your ear. You go, hi, Grandma. You pulled it away. That was it. Long distance calls are expensive.
Right.
You got hi, Grandma. You got a lot.
Yeah, classic long distance. I love that. Yeah, Are you nights and weekends? You can get it for half price or whatever it was. MCI, Sprint,
off peak
AT&T.
hours. Yes.
Yeah,
drive it off peak hours and stuff. And I remember my father. When you made $5 an hour in 1980, 81, 82, whatever it was, and you got a $45 phone bill. That was a lot. It was a day's worth of wages. And why did I get a $45 and sit on the phone for an hour and a half on hold? Only for them to hang up with you, then you got to call them back. I'm thinking, they're hanging up on purpose. They're trying to wear them down.
Well, when I was enlisted in the Army in 1984, I got over there, and in order to call my mother, I had to go to the USO. I go to the USO, and that cost me $3 per minute to use the German phone that they had there. It was insane how much it was. It was very expensive. Very expensive.
Wow.
And it's,
I remember
I was making $149 every 2 weeks. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, Reagan come into office, and I think minimum wage might have went up to $3.35 an hour.
It was $3.35 an hour when Reagan was in office.
It was an hour's worth of minimum wage every minute you were on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. You work for an hour to talk for 1 minute. And now we've got WhatsApp and all these applications. You just do what you want to do, talk to you when you want to talk. And a whole new world. Brave new
Talk
world.
to people around the world.
Communications on the internet. It's incredible. Some people don't realize how well they have it, because some of us, we grew up in the age of dinosaurs, I guess you might say, as we used to say in the old days.
But think about it. I mean, look at us sitting here in 3 different geographic locations in the country, talking to people around the world in real time right now. It's kind of cool. And they're commenting over here on the sidebar. You know, a lot of folks from South Africa and other places piping in. I love it.
And they're probably sitting there going, "Boy, you guys aren't over this? We've been doing this for about 10 years now."
No,
You're
but it's
Wyatt.
you know, it's cool to think about where you started out your life, what the technology was whenever you were born, and now look at where we're at. You know, it's just
Well, look
wild,
where we're
amazing.
going with AI, AGI, and the stuff that's developing. I mean, I was seeing things where they're talking about they can actually take human DNA and put data into it. So in the future, they could actually make computer chips out of human DNA and create incredible amounts of storage and stuff. I mean, I don't know the details on this. I'm not that technologically savvy, but if they're talking about what I think they're talking about, they're going to be able to put a whole, I think I was talking to an AI, asking an AI questions about this. It was talking about like the size of a drop of water computer chip. You put 13 terabytes on it or something with technologies as they will be in about 10 to 20 years from now.
Yeah. Wild.
Well, we did see a movie back in the 1990s that was kind of like that. It's starring a certain fellow became famous for, was it Speed? And then, of course, you know, from John Wick, and that's Keanu Reeves, called Johnny Mnemonic.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about. I don't remember watching that, but I forgot about. I know the name.
But also, the Matrix has an element of using humans as batteries, as energy.
Oh yeah.
That falls in line with what's referred to as the simulation theory. Some people believe that we're living in a simulation, which is kind of in line with what was that theological belief that none of this is actually happening. And now I can't think of the name of it. Existentialism or whatever.
Yeah, existentialism. Was that French?
Yeah. But no, it's the idea that none of this is really happening. And some people believe we live in a simulation, and that this is just a computer simulation, and it goes pretty deep. So basically, you got a computer simulation that is inside another computer simulation. I think they made a movie called 13th Floor that was aligned with the Matrix in that regard. About, you know, the 13th floor was that you could download yourself into a computer simulation, act this out, but it turns out that people in the computer simulation are real. And you're messing up their lives, and so
okay,
well,
pretty interesting story.
I like the Big Bang Theory. They said that, you know, Elon Musk has a theory that we're just you know, in the multiverse, so that we're just, you know, the plaything for some alien race, and we're not really here. And he said, Leonard says, so some alien kid paid for the eyeglasses and the asthma upgrade for me.
Right.
Oh, that was really nice. It could have done without the eyeglasses and the asthma upgrade.
Thanks, but yeah, that is funny.
What a great show. I miss it. But it's time ran its course. You know, it couldn't continue forever.
Right. Yeah. So, John, you're getting Tron and Matrix confused, somebody said here, but yeah, both of those movies are series is wild.
I was right on Matrix. We all know what Matrix was, but 13th
yeah, Tron's the
was.
AI thing. Yeah, Tron's the AI thing. Now that with the new one, now they come into the real world or something. I don't know how that happens. How something that's made of ones and zeros and energy is now all of a sudden in the real world. I don't know. But anyway.
Oh, simulation theory?
I don't know. It's sci-fi stuff. It's fun, I guess, right?
Well, the theories they talk about, I mean, when you look at quantum mechanics and stuff, and you talk about these string theories and all these different theories that they have, but you got to realize they are just theories. It's not facts yet. So, but the split slit experiment was incredible. If you're familiar with that.
Yeah, we want to explain it.
The two splits were they were shooting electrons, and it kind of gets a little deep here. I'll try to explain as quick as I can, I guess. So basically, they used an electron gun and they're shooting electrons, and they had a single split and a cardboard with a backdrop, or an object with a backdrop. So they put a split in there and they shoot the electrons, and the pattern on the back of this on the backdrop would be just one line, and you would expect it to be. But when they put two splits there, the pattern should be two lines on the backdrop, but it wasn't. It was a multitude of lines. And they're like, well, how does that happen? And so they decided to put an observation there to monitor what's going on with these electrons. What's going on? Why are they doing this? So basically, what you'd have is a straight line pattern turn into a wave pattern. And so they take and decide they're going to monitor this. But as soon as they monitor this, now they only got 2 lines in the backdrop. Now, how does that happen?
Right.
So then they decide that, well, let's try to psych it out. So we'll put a monitor there that's off, but it'll come on once the electron passes so we can see what it's doing. But as soon as it come on, it changed. It went, instead of going into a wave pattern, it still went into the 2 lines in the backdrop. So it's almost like as if there's some sort of intelligence that's understanding that they're monitoring. It's kind of an incredible thing. It kind of gets really deep. And I suggest if anybody wants to understand it greater, pull up some YouTube and watch some of the videos on this. It's incredible stuff. And it's kind of mind blowing when you find out this stuff actually happens.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Good stuff.
Oh,
Colonel,
Chris, can't hear you, bud, unless you were just
yeah.
mouthing it. He's laughing over there. Chris, we can't hear you.
Oh, it's this microphone.
There you go.
No,
There you
it's
go.
I must be keep bumping it. Sorry.
Wait a minute.
No.
Is that an old microphone? Because I saw a purple
No.
light on it.
No, it has a purple light. I change the color at will.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes the software reboots on its own. That's what happened earlier, and the mic just stops working. It happens on occasion.
Oh.
But all you do is brush it, and because it's touch sensitive, and it shuts off. Watch.
Yeah.
And so I bumped it a couple of times, moved my arm there, I was scratching. So sorry about that. But yeah, no, I was saying I had a hard time following that story, John. But okay, I'll take your word for it.
You had a hard time
Right, yeah.
following it. Is that because you were being distracted on your computer?
No, it's because of being distracted by my microphone.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Anyway.
No, but yeah, no, there's a lot of fascinating. There's a movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? That's based on quantum physics, and it's one of those movies that you have to keep rewinding it because your mind is so focused in on the movie and what they're saying now that they've already moved on past that point. So now you got to rewind to catch back up again. It's a lot of deep stuff and interesting, exciting stuff to listen to.
Well, I love sci-fi, so I mean, it sounds like something I might be interested in. That's my cup of tea. So
Yeah, it's all based on science and stuff.
science. She blinded me with science.
Blinded
that
me
was-
with science.
Damn, that almost sounded
Thomas
like
Dolby.
yeah.
That was a
All right,
huge hit
Paul-
back in the day.
Or you
Yeah.
can go with Oingo Boingo's Weird Science.
Yeah, classic. I love little weird science. Good movie back in the day.
You know
Quinnipiac,
who
Paul.
who the lead singer of Oingo Boingo was, right?
What's that?
Was lead singer. Now his name's gonna escape me because I brought him up and I know it. Who did the Simpsons theme song?
No idea. I'm not a Simpsons fan. I never got into that show. I tried. I
No,
never got
me
into
neither.
it.
I think we had to come back to
Family
something.
Guy. Couldn't do it.
Name just left me. I bring it up and now
So-
I forget his name.
But go ahead. According to Newsmax, a Quinnipiac poll shows 61% say Trump White House dishonest on Preddy shooting. It says more than half of voters surveyed in a Quinnipiac University national poll said they think President Donald Trump's administration has not given an honest accounting of the shooting death of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis over a week ago, and most think an independent investigation should be conducted. Yes. What have you guys seen over the past couple of weeks since this shooting? What are your thoughts on it? I know we've discussed it a little bit in depth, but
John, you want to go first?
We talk about Alex Preddy.
yeah, go ahead, John.
Oh, I'm be honest with you. I know I spoke out about good, and with this, I'm even more adamant about it. Is what was going on with ICE? I mean, okay, I understand he was an agitator. He was a known agitator. I understand they knew a lot about him. They must have done some research on him because they knew he was carrying a gun. Because when they took him down, they were looking for his gun.
Right.
But why were they pushing women down in the street? What was going on? And I know there's no context prior to them doing that in the videos we're seeing. We're only seeing videos from a certain perspective. ICE is attacking people in the street, going after them. And it's not like the woman was blocking an ICE vehicle. Not that I'm aware of. It was a personal vehicle that she was standing in front of. So I feel a little concerned about what I saw, but I admit maybe more context needs to be delivered to us what we saw. But as far as him being taken down, he was in a defensive position. He threw himself there with a cell phone in his hand. And I was going to ask you guys earlier, is there going to be an issue with these guys and they're trying to document with their cell phones, but they're getting too close into the action and getting themselves too involved that way.
Right.
But he, at any point, he was at a defensive position. They take him down. Somebody strips him of the gun they were looking for. and I think there was an accidental discharge with that weapon,
That's what it looks like.
causing the officers to react. So I felt like the officers, to me, didn't seem like they were in total control of the circumstance.
Right.
That may very well be true, but what are people doing standing in the street obstructing federal law enforcement?
Yep.
That's my question.
That is a concern.
And who are people to think that they can approach law enforcement officials with firearms? You don't get in their space. I mean, that doesn't justify shooting someone, but you're the architect of your own demise. Had he followed instructions, not been in the street, he would not be dead. Instead, he went there looking for trouble after he'd already looked for trouble and got a broken rib or cracked rib 10 days prior.
Right.
The man was an agitator. He was an insurrectionist, and he is the architect of his own demise. And I'm consistent on this, just like Ashley Babbitt. And some people don't like that because she's a hero on the right. But if she hadn't gone in the building illegally, she wouldn't be dead. It doesn't justify the cold-blooded murder, the use of deadly force that was unwarranted. That should have been a suspension or a criminal conviction for unjustified use of deadly force. There was no reason to shoot that woman whatsoever. But had she not gone to the building where she had no business being whatsoever and rushing through there, then she wouldn't be dead. Had this guy not entered the street and interject himself within touching distance of law enforcement officers who are armed in a highly volatile situation, what outcome does he expect? Does he think he's just going to be a hero for the left because he intervened? Oh, look at me. I'm in the cop's face, and I've got a loaded gun with 2 magazines. Please. The empathy meter died a long time ago for these people. You know, when the police tell you to do something, you follow the instructions. If they're wrong, you deal with it afterwards. They're armed, and the reason they're armed is for public safety. And if you're going to present a danger to the public, you are going to agitate the situation, and there's a very real possibility you're going to be killed. So stop being an ass.
Yeah.
Well, you can't step into the Bulls arena and
Right.
expect not to get gored. You got a point.
Exactly.
Right,
That's my
yes.
point here. It doesn't mean that the man should have been killed. And your description, John, I didn't really fault much because I'm just tired of these people instigating these. If they had simply obeyed the law, if the officials in Minneapolis, St. Paul had simply turned over the criminal alien invaders who were convicted rapists, murderers, bank robbers, pedophiles, if they turned them over as the federal detainer requested, there would be no ICE in Minneapolis. They would have collected these people and quietly left. You don't see this happening in West Virginia. You don't see it happening in Harrisburg. You don't see it happening in Utica. You don't see it happening in Charlotte, North Carolina, because authorities are cooperating. ICE is surging all over the country, removing tens and hundreds of thousands of criminal alien invaders. But it's in Minneapolis where this is happening. And coincidentally, where did this country start to fall apart again? Because of what evil leftist state and city? Minneapolis, Minnesota. The same problem. There are people in that state that need to be put on a bus and sent to Ottawa where they belong.
So some people do have to take into consideration, including ourselves, that and it's been said, and that's what made me think of it, is that Good had actually met with an attorney prior to all this happening. And so the concern is, was she trying to set up a case where she had a lawsuit against ICE? And is this part of the defund me logic, right? Well, if we can all sue them, then we'll take their money away. They can't act. So it makes you kind of wonder, are they instigating, trying to set up positions for lawsuits?
What people don't realize is lawsuits, federal government agencies funding law or defending lawsuits doesn't come out of their operational budget anyway.
Yeah, look, I mean, whether that was the case or not, the woman drove danger. You don't just drive and park a car sideways in the middle of the street, particularly in winter on an icy road. What is she attempting to accomplish? She's already committing all sorts of civil violations, moving traffic violations, and presenting a threat to the public. Mm-hmm. The officers approached her calmly and asked her to move. She refused. Officer reached in to unlock her door to remove the vehicle. She backed up with his arm stuck in the vehicle. Meanwhile, the other officer walked around to film the vehicle because they're trying not to escalate. They want to make sure that they've got evidence of what's going on. He came around and her snotty, angry, belligerent lesbian wife insulted the cop, got in his face. He ignored her. He got in front of the vehicle. As he's walking around the vehicle, then she looks up at him and she grins. She guns the engine after she backed up and pulled forward. And then she starts to pull forward with the other officer's hands in the door. She's the architect of her own demise. Right. She committed multiple criminal acts there. And, in this case, was her death warranted? Well, the use of deadly force was certainly warranted, and it was necessary. Otherwise, the cop would have been run over. When she was hit, she slumped and the wheel turned that way, and she went down the street. But the argument is, well, he should let her go. Why? So she can drive down the street at 35 miles an hour and clip a pedestrian who's in a crosswalk because she's fleeing from law enforcement? No.
Right.
The woman presented a clear and present danger to the public. Right, here another car. She's presented clear and present danger to the public by her actions. This argument starts and stops with the fact that she was blocking a street. She had no legal basis to do that whatsoever. Her car wasn't disabled because it broke down. She was an instigator. She was an insurrectionist, and she's the architect of her own demise. It's as simple as that. And people can't come to grips with that. Now, I'm seeing the red herring being tossed out here of Kyle Rittenhouse. No, Kyle Rittenhouse did not engage with law enforcement. Kyle Rittenhouse did not do what these people did. Kyle Rittenhouse went as a medic and had a firearm protecting himself. Thank God he did. He would have been murdered that night. If Kyle Rittenhouse hadn't had that firearm, he would have been murdered.
He was protecting a business too.
And
though,
that
right?
pedo who, they're protecting business. He was also renting assistance to people who've been injured because he's a first aid. He's a qualified first aider. And that pedo who came after him and tried to assault him, he pointed the rifle at him, and the guy backed away. Then he left and walked down the street. They started chasing him down the street. If he had had the firearm, and remember, they threw a skateboard and hit him in the back and knocked him to the ground using deadly force to try to injure this kid, a 16-year-old kid. He turned around with a rifle, and most people would have been emotionally charged and fired the rifle, or at least fired it in the air. But he pointed it, and we don't know what he said, but he probably said, "Stop it, back off." And the first guy's like this, backed off. The other guy came out and got shot. So this is what happens. Kyle Rittenhouse has nothing to do with this. This is not even remotely familiar. There was no law enforcement engagement here. There were anarchists in the streets attacking people, and Kyle Rittenhouse defended himself. It was a justifiable shoot. What
they try to do in regards to these, they're comparing apples to oranges.
Correct.
And you're right. Kyle Rittenhouse was on a defensive mode and defensive mode only. But the thing of it is, they're trying to create a straw man argument because they feel like they're qualified to argue Kyle Rittenhouse.
Right.
Well, the person actually bringing it up in the chat is not doing that. I think he's trying to get me to bring the story out the way I just told about, and also that the other guy had the guy had a handgun. But the leftists, not our viewer, but the leftists, our listener, but the leftists are the ones that come with this argument and try to say, "What about this?"
Yeah.
But then they have no argument for the black racist who gunned down all those people and killed people in Kenosha, Wisconsin during a Christmas parade. Nothing. That case was he's in prison. It went away quietly. No discussion about the racism. He wanted to kill white people, and he did. He did. Yeah. Horrific situation. And no one talks about that racial incident. But no, look, you cannot compare these situations. And these people, architects, are in the minds. And this is why I say Trump has capitulated. I wouldn't withdraw these troops if you accomplish the mission. If you accomplish the mission, then you can draw down ICE operations. But given that the police are arresting these criminals every day and not turning them over to the federal government, I think you need to build a permanent structure across from Minneapolis and St. Paul police stations and be ready when they release them and just pick them up right there on the street. That's my take. And permanently station ICE right there, because these cities are insurrectionist cities who will not submit to the supremacy clause of the Constitution and feel they're independent jurisdictions, which they're not. They are sovereign, but within these United States. They do not get to override the Constitution. The federal government has responsibility for immigration and national security. Case closed, end of discussion, finished and clear, done and dusted. This is nonsense. And these people in Minneapolis, they need a hard awakening. The insurrectionist governor, his clueless insurrectionist, gay pride, Mayor Small Fry Jacob, these people need to be brought to book. Those people should be facing federal charges, and maybe even Ilhan Omar for her actions.
All right. So active agent presence in Minneapolis. Despite the announcement to withdraw 700 officers, approximately 2,000 federal agents are expected to remain in Minnesota for the immediate future. So it's not an absolute withdrawal.
No, and I didn't say it was, but it is still capitulation. And the reason he's capitulating is they want to get the bill passed. He's going to say, well, see, we cooperated. We reduced the presence. But the Democrats want ICE agents who are targeted for assassination by these people paying bounties to kill ICE agents and to harm them, to attack their families. They want them to expose their face so they can become targets. This is not acceptable. Not acceptable. These people come to protest wearing masks and wearing, balaclavas, and no one's telling them to take their mask off when they're committing crimes. Federal agents need to protect our identity. This is one reason why I have serious issues with U.S. military being used for JTF-6 and JTF-7, the counter narcotics border missions along the Mexican border, because the drug dealers go after your family. They don't care if you're police or military. And they put our military in grave risk by being involved in that. But that's one reason I don't like it.
And to accentuate your point, when they go after your family, it's not a pleasant. It's not like they're just going to kill them easy. It's they torture them and stuff. They go after your family. They want to make an example of it. So it's a very ugly bit of business.
It is, and the military has no business being involved in it. I don't think that they should be involved in this.
Yeah, if you're not going to eradicate the entire cartel point blank, then what are you doing? Military could go eradicate. Military could go eradicate, no problem. But it's a matter of if you're just going to do little hits here and there, you're putting people in risk. You're right.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Folks, you're listening
That's
to
the bottom
Common
line.
Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. About 30 minutes, about 20 minutes left in the show. Have you seen this report? Bernie Sanders spent over 550,000 in 2025 campaign funds alone on private jets, even though he champions the Green New Deal. Old Bernie taking those private jets here, there, and yonder. About $550,000 worth of private jets. What do you think about that, John?
That's a lot
The
of money.
hypocrite.
Yeah, the
hypocrite from the
hypocrite.
neighboring state there.
Oh, I'm thinking that's a lot of money just in private jets alone.
Right.
Wow. It must be amazing to have such money to squander. But you're right. It's hypocritical to sit there and keep talking about, but it's just hypocritical to keep telling everybody how you got to watch your carbon footprint while we just stomp all over and don't give a crap.
Yeah, or these companies that say that they're that they're green, and of course they buy offsets. I mean, that's just a hokey nonsense. Offsets. That's something somebody made up to sell big lefty companies to make them feel good. We got an offset for you. It's called the money that's out of your bank account to my bank account.
So as it is right now in New Hampshire, you remember we were trying to get rid of our state inspections. And so inspections were performed or facilitated by a company out of Kentucky called Gordon Darby, who sued and stated that the state of New Hampshire can't get rid of their inspections because they have to apply with the EPA under the Clean Air Act to be removed from what's called OTR, the ozone transport region, which we are part of. And for some odd reason, I don't know why New Hampshire signed up with that, because it was voluntary to sign up for, but it's not voluntary to extract yourself out of it.
Wow.
So now you have to ask for permission. And the EPA, are you really going to get permission from the EPA to get out of this deal? So they hold up our inspections now, or our repeal to get rid of the inspections based on this. And for some reason, the judge didn't sever the safety inspection from the emissions inspection when they were suing on emissions. I don't know why. And I'm hoping the state of New Hampshire Attorney General has the decency to at least file a motion to sever the safety inspection, so at least we become relieved of the burden of being fleeced by inspection bays or shops that will immorally try to extract money out of people. Anyway, so this is going on up here, and so talk about carbon footprint and stuff. They're also concerned about it, but yet we meet the standards as far as the air quality goes. States like Florida don't have to have an inspection because they meet the standards of the quality, air quality. But they seem to think with the region up here with populations and stuff that our exhaust gases might go into Connecticut or something, or Massachusetts. And so they'll be affected too. It's ridiculousness, man. It's total ridiculousness.
Interesting. All right. Good deal. Go ahead, Colonel.
No, it's just the green energy lunatics. They're behind all this stuff, and it never ends. It's a never ending fantasy on their part. So anyway, don't really know what to say about it beyond that, but that's the reality. But Trump has been doing a bunch of endorsements. He endorsed a candidate for U.S. Senate up there in New Hampshire this past week.
Oh, which one? Because I missed it.
Take a
Sununu.
guess. Yep.
Yeah, I thought it'd be John Sununu. He also got an endorsement from Alaska Senator, I think. And
Murkowski. Then he lost my endorsement.
Yeah, that's what people said. They're like, "Oh, if she's endorsing him, I'm out."
Yeah, exactly. That is not exactly a ringing endorsement I would want.
No. So yeah, no, they. I don't know. There's a lot of, from what I see, a lot of people aren't necessarily in favor of Sununu. I'm not too certain we're getting a lot of good choices right now.
Who all is running up there in New Hampshire right now?
Right now, I know Brown and Sununu. I can't think of the others, but I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to it right now. I haven't been getting deep into it. But we know of Sununu. We know of Brown. Brown's from Massachusetts.
Right. Yeah. So carpetbagging up. It's like, yeah.
Well, he's been here for a long time. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can call him a carpetbagger. He has been here for a long time. He's made a couple attempts, but they were failed.
That's Scott Brown, right?
Yeah, Scott Brown. I'm good. We can move on at this point. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so you're familiar with him.
It's another Rob.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We can move on. We're
I
good.
think his wife's name was Gail. She was a news reporter or something.
He made fame basically because he succeeded Kennedy after he left off, after he passed away. First Republican in decades, and that was short lived, and he was on his way out. So But yeah, people, I guess, wanted to try see what a Republican would be like in Massachusetts. It'd been a while for sure.
That's
Wait,
true.
what are you talking about? Romney?
No, in Massachusetts.
Scott Brown.
Talking about Brown. Yeah, talking
I
about
was
Brown.
gonna say if it was Romney, I mean, are you sure you're talking about a Republican?
No, Romney was but he was governor. Then he went to Utah.
Yeah,
and
yeah, he was
carpetbagged. He's not from Utah. He just happens to be Mormon. I mean, his family's from Mexico. So,
no, I think his family's from Michigan, weren't they originally? His father was.
Yeah, but they're actually from Mexico.
Well, yeah, he's from Mexico.
His dad was governor of Michigan a long time ago. Was secretary, one of the cabinet secretaries, I think, during the Ford days, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So VP Vance, Vice President JD Vance, calls Don Lemon dumbest man in television. And then he said, formally, Vice President JD Vance said the case against former CNN reporter Don Lemon is rock solid, end quote, after he was charged with his involvement in an anti-ICE protest at a Minnesota church last month. And Vance said in an interview with Megyn Kelly on Wednesday that Lemon was the dumbest man in television. Formally, end quote. Yeah, obviously Lemon's a complete buffoon moron, and hopefully we'll go down for this. I hope he doesn't get a slap on the wrist in this instance. I'm hoping that there's federal charges attached to it so that local, Democrat judges can't just let him out with a warning. He's got to go.
Well, it is a federal violation, the FACE Act from the early 1990s.
Right, that's true.
Ironically, Teddy Kennedy passed that or got that legislation.
Oh, we were just talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, it is a federal violation. So the question is, do they want to continue and go ahead and do that? I think they should.
I hope so. Yeah. Set an example for this guy. He thinks just because you're a reporter, you don't get engaged in the violence in the, go ahead.
That's just it. You can't be a reporter and be part of the scene itself or the action itself. You got to be an objective reporter, or you got to stand outside of it and report on it objectively, or at least try.
He made himself a part of the whole situation by engaging in it, by egging them on. Good idea. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go do this. Well, I'm not doing it. I'm covering it. It's like, no, Lemon, you were part of it. You're part of the problem.
He established that at the beginning, didn't he? It was almost like he was leading it when he
tried to correct it. Oh, I'm just covering it. I'm not part of it. You've been a part of it for the past 20 minutes as you're talking about it. Now you want to know.
Well, not only is he a part of it, but he also is the one who said, we are here to make these people uncomfortable. That's not a reporter. That is a person who's actively involved in this. This is a person that is seeking to cause trouble. And by saying that we're here to make them uncomfortable, that means you seek to intimidate them. Therefore, you violate the FACE Act. He convicted himself.
An agitator with a press badge.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's absolutely.
Yeah, there were some people being accused of that in J6 too, that they were agitating but they were trying to hold a camera and say, no, I'm just a reporter. But you can't tell people to go in there and do stuff if you're just reporting.
And you don't get to follow the illegal activity in with the camera and say, oh, I'm just documenting it. No, that's not what you get to do. You can do that from the outside, from behind the police barrier, whatever the case may be. Cover it from there. But once you engage in with it and move that camera in with these protesters, you're part of the problem. You violated the law. So done
100%.
With that jerk.
Yeah, you're right. Come to think of it, you can't enter the facility with them if it's illegal entry.
No, he trespassed, and then he tries to set the whole thing up. He's like, I heard the audio of it, and then I was like, that sounds strange. Then I saw the video. It was obvious that the minister was standing there, and Don Lemon's got a mic in his face, and he leans into it and goes, hey, don't touch me, Don Lemon. Dude, you're the one encouraging him in his space, not the other way around. Get it straight.
Right. Absolutely. Matt Schlapp, if you guys know who he is, says to Newsmax, midterm elections will be focused on the Senate. I'm like, I thought we needed to retain the House too, though. Anyway.
We do. We do need to retain both. I mean, if we're really going to make the progress we're looking to maintain, we got to get them both.
Yep, absolutely. You got that right. Yes, sir. What are you? We got about 9 minutes left in the show. Any thoughts that we haven't covered this second hour, Colonel?
Well, I mean, we did talk about Iran in that first hour, but there's some other things that really could discuss here that are related to a lot of things I think should be interesting. Focal. Google is making record profits. Their revenues over $400 billion for the first time ever. Yeah. Yep, that's an insane amount of money for a company that's just all digits, zeros and ones. They reported 403 billion in sales last year. It's the first time over 400, and their profit. Want to take a guess how much of that was profit?
300.
No, come on, that's you're being crazy now.
No,
132 billion dollars in profit.
Okay, yeah, 100 some billion. Yeah, okay. Wow. That's amazing.
That beggars imagination. That profit is larger than the entire revenue of most companies in the world, not just in this country.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's what, over 25% profit. That's crazy. And what's going on with Tulsi Gabbard? There's a whistleblower complaint against her. Did you hear about this?
No, I've seen that she was they were looking into some Puerto Rican election machines, but anyway, different story.
Well, in a memo that was written to lawmakers or sent to lawmakers on Monday and posted online by her office, the Intelligence Committee Inspector General Chris Fox wrote that the whistleblower alleged that Gabbard had restricted the sharing of a specific highly classified intelligence report for political purposes. Well, that's going to be tough to prove. First off, highly classified documents are restricted by nature, and you have to have a need to know. So I don't know if person is going to be able to prove that she covered up a document because it was politically related, or I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. But this is interesting whistleblower. But people don't like Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not a big fan, but I don't dislike her. It was just a matter of time before somebody went after her. So also, I did said, and I stick to this, she was not qualified for the position. The biggest thing she's ever led is a 6-man public affairs, or not public affairs. What's the word I'm looking for here? I'm drawing a blank right now. The
MP, military, police.
No, they were not military. Civil affairs. Civil affairs.
Yeah.
She's a reserve National Guard Civil Affairs officer, 1 of 2, I think reserve. But that's the largest she ever led as a team like that. She's never led a multi-agency oversight, which is what this position requires, the Officer Director of National Intelligence. I don't think she's qualified for the position at all. And quite frankly, I could run circles around her for this job. But she's politically connected, and people like her. She's a minority, she's a woman, and she's a Democrat, so she checks all the blocks that made people happy. But I'm not surprised that people went after her, because she's not particularly popular. She isn't popular in the Democratic Party because she stood up to the Old Boys Network. She lost, but she stood up to them. And she's not important. She's not popular on the right because she says outlandish leftist things. But sometimes people fall into this trap, just like they do with John Fetterman. Oh, hey, he's one of us because he's talking sense for once. No. Doesn't mean he's one of us. That just means that he isn't having an aneurysm for once. His brain is engaging and the blood flow is continuing. Same with Tulsi Gabbard. Just because she said things that is in agreement with you doesn't mean that she has the same worldview. It just means that on that issue, you're united for the moment. Same thing with John Fetterman.
In an election year too, you're going to see people on the left might start aligning a little bit more with the right to get that undecided vote and things like that.
But I see so many people on the right that'll sell themselves out quickly. Oh, Tulsi's saying the things we like. Let's love her now. It's like just a week ago when she was running as a Democrat, she was saying things you didn't like. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Go ahead, sir.
Look, just because someone agrees with what I say, that doesn't mean they're an ally in my camp. But we can ally ourselves on an ad hoc basis for an issue to accomplish something, to get the budget across the line. We can agree on a specific point to get something accomplished. Absolutely. But don't make the mistake that John Fetterman is a Republican. He's certainly not a conservative.
Right.
And he's certainly not somebody that I want to see in a political party with me. That doesn't mean I can't agree with him and vote with him. If he would just put some clothes on occasionally, I probably could respect him.
Take the hoodie off.
Proper dress. Yeah. The thing about it is Fetterman's really not up for election, though. So when he does align with the right, it's kind of nuanced, I guess you might say, or it's kind of refreshing to see. At least he's willing to step up when he sees something that's right to do.
Yeah, recently the only senators that have done this in recent history were Joe Manchin on occasion,
right?
But he was on his way out, and then Fetterman, who just doesn't care.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, Kristen Sinema on 1 or 2 occasions, but she wasn't highly competitive, and she knew she was going to lose, and the Democrats weren't backing her, so she just voted the way she wanted, which is what she should have done all along. Yeah. But anyway, it's rare. The rest of them just don't cross the aisle. They are in lockstep, and it's even worse in the House. I mean, I think if you're a Democrat in the House, you don't vote the way you're told to vote. They take you out and whip you in public. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, right. Yeah, somebody said here in the comments, Bill Maher as well. He'll say things that I'll agree with, and I'm sure we all agree with at times, but don't sit there and try to put him on the pedestal like, oh, he's a great Republican now because we happen to agree with him on these issues. He says nonsense as well.
The only reason we agree with Bill Maher on a lot of issues is because the Democratic Party has ceased to exist. They're just a
Right.
bunch of lunatics. They're run by fringe radical leftist lunatics, who most of whom are 12 years old, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ayanna Pressley and Ilhan Omar. These are idiots that have never accomplished anything in their life. They're suckling off the government teat. I mean, remember that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was a failed bartender making TikTok videos dancing on the roof of an apartment building in Brooklyn. That's who she is. And that's who she remains.
Yeah.
And
The art school she was going to. Yeah.
she seems to think that every Republican wants to date her. And I'm sorry, sweetheart, but that's not the case. And, maybe when you were younger, hotter and thinner, but not today. I'll pass.
Thinner? How skinny she got to be?
No, she's got crazy eyes. She got those crazy eyes.
does.
It's like, which one are you talking to? One goes off.
She's
this way.
also, it's getting a little bit dunk in the trunk going on there now.
Oh, comfortable in her position, is she?
Yes.
So,
Anyway.
Chris, did you see where the U.S. moved troops into Nigeria?
Yeah, that's not a surprise. I mean, it's not the first time, but the media doesn't cover it. We've been doing this for
No,
years.
that's why I bring it up, because I feel you'd be interested in talking about it. And
Well, it's all part of security assistance, security cooperation. For years, we have had troops there. I don't know if they're currently there, but we sent intelligence troops there to cooperate with the Nigerian Intelligence Center in Abuja. I've visited. I've seen U.S. troops working there from joint services, helping the Nigerians and sharing intelligence on Boko Haram. It's a long-standing thing, and then we have teams come in, special forces teams in particular, and others who come there to do things. We have joint naval exercises, combined, I should say, is the correct term. Yeah, so it's not new.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised the military. This story was covered, and I think the only reason was because on Christmas Day we launched a strike, and they tried to act. That was after Trump threatened, but I mean, nobody would have known about what's going on in Niger if it hadn't been for the debacle that took place, and those soldiers were killed. Executed actually by the terrorists. But I mean, we had troops in Niger. I mean, I'm the one that was there. I was the one that created the Office of Security Cooperation in Niamey. I'm the one that helped with the attaché get those programs going in Niger at their request to help them fight terrorists. And we established programs at the air base in Niamey and also up in Agadez. And so there are troops at different places at any given time, every day of the year, just like there are diplomats in every country at any given time.
Well,
And
no,
I'm
this
talking about the
is-
ones
this-
that are stationed there. I'm talking about ones who come to visit.
according to this article, it's supposed to be because of the attack on Christians. And
Yes,
so
and
I
that's
guess
what I'm
Trump
saying.
is-
Trump threatened Nigeria if they didn't get this under control, he was going to do it himself.
Yep.
And then on Christmas Day, we attacked these with tomahawks. We fired tomahawks from the Gulf up into northern Nigeria, and the press immediately said that Trump attacked Nigeria, and the Nigerians said, no, this was a combined operation. This was done at our request. The United States coordinated with us to do these attacks to help us. We coordinated with intelligence and targeting, which is true. So the fact that there were U.S. troops on the ground isn't a surprise.
I
They're
think
there to-
is that African Command?
U.S. African Command would have oversight of that. That's correct.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah, so it's not at all surprising. What's surprising is that the media are just now catching on to it. This happened Christmas Day. It's like over a month ago.
It does. The article does elaborate on that, and that Trump said we'll be coming in with more forces, like you said, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting and worth bringing up, because you're right. The media doesn't cover these sorts of things. So at least maybe here on the Common Sense Conservatives, we can say something.
Right. At least
No,
something, right?
absolutely. I mean, look, it's, as I said, it's not a surprise. I hosted events across Africa. I don't know the total number, but on average, I was doing 15 to 30 per year in each country I was in, just depending on, Botswana was very busy. Liberia was pretty busy because I was rebuilding. Uganda was busy. Some other countries were not that busy, like Malawi and Niger, but many of these things, we did real world operations. We evacuated people from war zones. We moved peacekeepers around. We hunted terrorists. I did all that in Uganda, just one country. And then we also had exchanges with our military hosts. So not unusual, just that they're looking for a story to get attention, probably to attack Trump. That's what my suspicion is.
For sure.
Hey,
Yeah. How much time we got there, John? Maybe a minute?
Down to the seconds, bro.
Down to the seconds. Final thought
10
there,
of 'em.
both. John, final thought?
Final thoughts for 10 seconds. Honestly, I'm drawing a blank now. I got my hot mic in
Drawing a
front of
blank.
me, and you asked. So now I'm
all
ready.
right. Well, I'm like John. I'm ready. Tomorrow, I depart for Dallas. Saturday, the 7th of February, is the 1-year anniversary of President Trump's executive order about South Africa, which granted refugee status to South Africans of Afrikaner origin and racial minorities. Dallas, Texas, Saturday the 7th. We'll see you there.
All right. Talk to you next week, guys. 7 to 9 Eastern, right here on WSMN. Take care until then. God bless.